everybody. I'm back again, and today we'll be reading an entry called Boldness. And you could say this is kind of a foil to something we had last week, the entry of Shyness. And this is about learning how to share a message across without fear of persecution. Let's look at it. I've known my best friend, Nigel, since the 5th grade, and God has turned his life completely around. Our church did several mission projects in a broken-down neighborhood in our city, and that is where I met him. You could say he was not the best person in the world. He was certainly not living for the Lord. He cursed all the time, and his lifestyle was very bad. God laid him on many people's hearts, including mine. I became friends with him when he started riding our church bus to church. I watched as God began to work in his life, and he started becoming more open to the Word. Next thing you know, he got saved. Now, 2 years later, he is the strongest Christian I know. My friend has been called by God to be a pastor and a politician. Now he goes and witnesses to people in the very same place people witnessed to him. He never gets scared of what might happen, and he's not worried when he gets rejected. His life is a perfect example of Ephesians 3:12. When we go to share the gospel with the world, we should be bold and not be afraid to face persecution. Be bold like Nigel. Okay, well that was great. That's like more inspiring than a lot of stories I've heard. And with that, we should learn how to be more like this author's friend and be able to overcome problems like social anxiety. And of course, some people are naturally more prone to this sort of sense. And this whole story reminds me a lot of, I don't remember if it's I don't know where I saw it. I don't even know if it's from the Bible, but the quote says something along the lines of, Jesus is the canoe and you're the paddles, I believe. Something to that effect. And interesting how, if you're willing enough to open your heart, that you can know the right direction. And, sometimes it'll be placed right in front of you. God sometimes can work a little bit like, they mention how Satan does like shape-shifting into certain people, which I don't know if that's true. I mean, there are people who, have done so many malicious things that have kind of made them into a bad person, if you catch my drift. To prevent worse stuff from happening in the future, we kind of have to see the mindsets of these people, see the conditions that these people are living through. That doesn't mean they're not bad people. They're just people. So that would kind of suggest both God and the devil are symbolically present in our lives, and we're the one that has to decide between those. Kind of like a more spiritual version of Sigmund Freud's idea of morality, that we're the ego that has to decide between our id, the things we really want but we know we shouldn't indulge in, versus the superego, the part of us that knows whether what we're doing is right or wrong. So, you can kind of see it that way, I suppose, in a similar light. But what I'm trying to say is that God and Satan take many forms in our lives. The things we should strive towards and, the rabbit holes we shouldn't fall down. And, we have a success story right here in this book that we should certainly take heed of. I'm aware that it can be a very hard piece of advice to hear, to just simply not care about what other people think. But usually for the really difficult obstacles to overcome like this, there's just not a lot of additional advice you can give, to overcome it. And it goes along with a lot of different things when you see it in perspective. You may have noticed that there are a couple things here and there to make overcoming a challenge easier, but for some things in life, there's just not anything you can answer to other than genuine, willpower and hard work. Things along those lines, Some things don't have an easy fix or a life hack. And I'm not talking about a kitchen trick either. But I'm assuming you know what I mean. This is certainly one of those pieces of advice, just to not care what other people think. When you realize how much of your life that can take, you know, however many little dramas about every day, every week, it gets tiring too. That's when we realize what we really need. So that's the message, I suppose. And thanks, guys, for being here. I'll be sure to see you tomorrow again. Bye bye.